What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, I want to compare these things. You guys saw that thumbnail. I'm curious to know, now that I have two four-seater, one Polaris, one Can-Am side by side, I want to compare the two. I want to see some of the differences between these two cars. And for those that keep asking me, Eddie, why is this thing on jack stands? It's off now, but it still has to go back on jack stands. I am just adjusting the suspension on this thing because when they are brand new, they sit tall. Then as soon as you go, ride it and put 20 miles on, the spring softens up and this thing sits extremely low to the ground. So I am just lifting the ride height on this. All right, guys, so here's a little side-by-side comparison. I mean, right off the bat, you can just tell this Polaris is just massive. The front end of this thing is extremely big. I am really liking how it is not all, just this dull plastic. So on the Can-Am, if you guys notice, the only painted part on this Can-Am is this hood, basically. That's about it. Everything else on this car is all plastic, which, of course, that's still plastic, but at least they painted it, where it doesn't have this dull look to it. This is one thing that I don't like about the Can-Am is the look of this plastic that's right here. If you guys notice on the Razor, I mean, everything is painted up to about here. Other than that, I mean, you paint this, in this car, this front end will look beautiful. This does come stock with 32s, I would assume, because this car is brand new. It's got 1.4 miles on it. It does come stock with 32, 10, 15. This car, of course, it's got the paddles, but same size. This car comes stock with 30s on it. And you can just see, the ground clearance. I mean, yes, you can lift this, but this car is still brand new. It's got, I don't know, I think 15 miles on it. And, I mean, look at the difference. Look at the ground clearance. The ground clearance is just massive compared to this one. Beautiful shocks. These guys are the dynamic Fox shocks. So these things are supposed to change 200 times a second. Supposedly, this thing is supposed to ride great, smooth. I drove one. The problem, I didn't drive a four-seater. I drove a two-seater. The problem with this thing that it still has, even with these, computer-controlled shocks, is it still has a bucking problem. This car still wants to, when you hit the whoop, the accident wants to come and feel like it's going to come up over end on you. Another thing I noticed, is why don't Polaris put a dual-rated spring? Why do you just put one spring right here? Now, on the Can-Am, the four-seaters, and I don't know why they do this between two-seater and four-seater, but on the four-seater, they put a single spring with this. All this is, Razor has it also. It is just to keep it tight. So this is not an actual spring, that works like a dual-rated spring. Now, if you guys have seen on my two-seater, I'll show you my two-seater right now. My two-seater actually has a real dual-rated spring. You see, on the four-seater, I'm not sure why they only put one, but the two-seater, you got an actual dual-rated spring up there. Horsepower-wise, they are almost identical. The Can-Am is 172, the Polaris is 168, so not that much of a difference. Weight-wise, the Polaris, I believe, was a couple 100 pounds heavier than the Can-Am. So everybody says, the Can-Am four-seater is just crazy long. Well, I mean, by looking at it, yeah, I wouldn't say it's much longer. I'd probably say, I don't know, 2 feet going from, if you go from, the rear to rear, not the bumper, but go to the rear, you probably got, an extra 2 feet. And, I mean, the Can-Am is long, but you got to look at, inside. Look at the legroom on these things. I mean, the legroom, the interior of this Can-Am, it's just massive. I mean, if you're a big, tall guy, you can fit in this car. Compared to the Polaris, I mean, it's not a small car, but it still has a lot of legroom in here. But compared to that Can-Am is just a very big car. Now, I will give it to Polaris this year. They did an amazing job with the interior. The whole ride command system, the reverse cameras, the front cameras, all that stuff. They did a really good job on the car, look-wise and interior-wise, with all of, the gadgets and options that you can get with this thing. Can-Am, well, they just gave you speed, RPM, and a little display right there. That's about it. Oh, and they gave you a push button start. I mean, it's okay, no big deal. But they kind of, you know, didn't go too crazy interior wise on this thing. The Polaris still has a key to turn. It is not push button. I'm sure, you know, it's bound to happen here shortly. So let's check out the legroom of the rear. So you don't have, you know, as you guys see, too much room back here in the Polaris for a lot of legroom here. It's not for, you know, big, tall, massive person. Now, compared to the Can-Am, you got some legroom back here. It's not that much of a difference, but you got a little more. Look at the height difference. I mean, that Polaris is just massive. It's just sitting so tall. I don't know if you put 30s on it, if it'll sit a little lower, but I don't think it'll sit that much lower. But I will give it to Polaris. They did this year do a beautiful car. Everything looks great. Back of it looks beautiful. They did a really, really good job on this car. Bed space. Well, so this is more, if you guys see on the Polaris, long than width. As you guys see on the Can-Am here, it's more, you know, width-wise than it is length. It doesn't have much length to it. But it looks like this is the Can-Am compartment here that they make from Can-Am. And I am ordering the customer the Polaris compartment. I don't know, it's supposed to come in this week, I believe. And that just sits right in here. They are both still belt driven. Can-Am and the Polaris still belt driven here. Now let's check out the interior of this bad boy. See what options we got. Man, this thing, you gotta really get up in here to fit. All right. Whoops. Okay. Well, let's see what we got here. All right, see, this is a nice display that Polaris did right here. This is your comfort in your sport mode and your firm mode here. All right, you got your active suspension. I guess when you turn the wheel, it moves. Okay, all right. Puts it at 3. That puts it at 10. Yeah, so that's extremely firm. Check out the reverse camera on this thing. Now this did come from the factory with this reverse camera. It does come optional with a front camera. This does not have one yet. We are installing one for the customer. But as of right now, it just has a reverse camera. And I gotta say, this reverse camera is not bad. It's pretty clear. You got your navigation. Wow, look at that. They sure did a good job on this. Got your iPod, stereo. We are putting a stereo on this thing, and your volume tabs right here. And your on-off. I don't know. What do you guys think? What would you guys take? Would you take the Polaris or would you take the Can-Am? Let me know. Leave down in the comment section. I'm curious to know, you know, you guys' thoughts between these two cars. All right. And what's nice about the Can-Am, you don't have to put your foot on the brake either. You can just start it from the outside. I don't know. You tell me. Which one do you guys like sounding better? See, one thing I don't like about these Polaris, and they all do this when they're at idle, they just sound like they're clunking. Listen. Compared to the Can-Am, I mean, it seems like it's very well balanced and it's a lot quieter. I don't know. Overall, they are both amazing cars. They'll both do the job for you if you're going out to the desert or trail riding or whatever you're doing. You will get the job done with any of these cars. Which LEDs do you guys like better? This little shark tooth looking thing? Or these looking like eyebrows or something? I don't know. Which LEDs you guys prefer? Polaris LEDs? Can-Am LEDs? gosh, I will say they are both still beautiful looking cars. Looks like here's where the front camera is going to be installed, right there in that little hole there. Gotta give it to Polaris on the steering wheel. They did a good job. Looks like it's a you know, full-blown race steering wheel. Maybe it'll make you go faster. It's got this little flat spot right here for your belly, so you won't hit when you try to turn. And also, guys, I just got a phone call. Now, there's a rumor going around that Platinum Nation, if you guys know him, Mr. Alcalade, I'll put his Instagram down in the description for you guys. But Platinum Nation, I found out, is supposed to be tucking some 40s on his truck. You know, he didn't want to tell me, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't think he'll do it. Number one, it's not going to fit. I mean, I think he's got a 4 or 5 inch lift on his, and he's on 37s right now, and it's pretty damn close. So unless he's getting a new lift or he's going to do some serious trimming on his truck, I don't think he's going to be fitting some 40s on that thing. But we're going to find out tomorrow in tomorrow's upload, because he's supposed to be coming over. He said, yeah, I'm going to come over and show you something. So I hope he doesn't go 40s, guys, because if he does, then I'm going to have to figure out a way either to tuck 40s in this thing, or we're going to have to get rid of this CST kit and go with an 8 to 10 inch lift on some 40s. So hopefully he doesn't go 40s, because I really don't want to start changing everything up on the truck again, and now changing rims and tires and this and that. And I kind of like the way it drives. You know, this thing drives good. It's nice. It's stable. It doesn't really, you know, have a lot of body roll. I mean, it tows beautiful. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully Mr. Platinum Nation does not do that to me, you know, because that's going to suck. Because then, well, we're back to square one and lift kits and stuff again. Also, guys, stay tuned. We're heading out to the desert this weekend. Hopefully we get some good footage for you guys, because last weekend, it was kind of boring just because there's so many people we couldn't ride. There was like a traffic jam in the dune. So hopefully we're going to get some good runs in this weekend and get some good riding in for you guys. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think. Would you take that Polaris or would you take that Can-Am? They both are beautiful cars. You know, they both look really good. The interior of the Polaris, I got to give it to the Polaris. They did an amazing job on the interior. But, you know, suspension, I'm still kind of upset with them on the suspension, just because, you know, I drove it, and that dynamic suspension is just, it's not as big, as hyped as everybody thought it was going to be. So I'm still kind of upset about that. But let me know. Leave down in the comment section. But if you guys like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to click subscribe. Peace. Yeah.